You'll note, by the way, on your table that there's a small dish with chocolates on it. Those are compliments, they are probably gone by now. Those are compliments of Dave Kanoki, Kanoki's Chocolates. David, are you here? Thank you very much, David. It's appropriate that we're holding this tribute at the River Falls Golf Club because when the Farley family lived in River Falls, they spent a lot of time out here and were active golfers. Ray Farley was the women's club champion 11 times. That's just here. She's gone into everything. Which one? Mike Sr. or Junior? Mike Jr. Yeah, I don't think he was the... All right, there you go. David Farley, son David, was a club champion a couple times as well. Mike Farley Sr. Didn't win any championships, but he was a good golfer and a student of the game. He was a good coach for people who had struggles with their game from time to time. If any of you ever played around with Coach Farley, you would know that he played by the rules. And I mean he played by the rules. The idea of a gimme, winner rules didn't exist. No such thing. And I asked him once why it was, and he said, well, why would you play this game and turn in a scorecard that wasn't an accurate reflection of the game you just played? Well, I really admire that. But I didn't understand it because I learned to play golf under Don Page and Dale Viney. You know, a 3-foot putt, and you look at him and say, gimme? That wouldn't have happened with Mike Farley. Also, I should point out that Mike did give lessons from time to time. He would show up with a bucket of balls that he would bring to the lesson. They were his own golf balls that he had found. Coaching pay wasn't great back then, and he spent his recreational time in the woods finding missing golf balls. And that's how he helped the family get by during these years. The Farley family came to River Falls in 1970, and the first season, fall of 1970, is when Mike began his career as head football coach. One way to look at Mike's record here is to consider the first 4 years, which would probably be viewed as rebuilding years, putting together the foundation for a program. I think I have my statistics correct, that in the first 4 years, the Falcon record was 12 wins, 26 losses, 1 tie. Twice as many losses as wins. Following 15 years, 105 wins, 45 losses, 2 ties. That's what you call turning the program around. In 1975, Coach Farley's team won the conference championship. It was the first time that a Falcon team had won the championship since 1958. Bob Dawson was here. He was the quarterback on that team, Bob. And so the 75 team was the first time since then the Falcons have won that trophy. That was the first of 8 championships that the Falcons won under Coach Farley's leadership. He received numerous Coach of the Year awards and is inducted into 3 different Halls of Fame based on his successful career. Mike was successful for a long list of reasons, but certainly one of them had to do with the support that he received from a couple of people in particular who are no longer with us. One was Chancellor George Field, and the other was the athletic director, Don Page. I wish those 2 men could be here. I get a sense that they are here in spirit, and I know that Marcella Field is here with her family, and Joe Page is here with her family, and it's good to have them a part of this. They were both very close friends of Mike and Mike. So Mike and Ray raised their 3 boys in River Falls, and they were active in this community, active in their church, active as volunteers. I'll give you one short anecdote about volunteer activity that to me says everything about Mike. Has nothing to do with the game of football. After he retired as a football coach, he got involved in the library foundation. At the time, the River Falls Public Library was a small, lacking facility, and so the plan was we need a bigger, better library. Mike was the chair of the fundraising. A story that a lot of people don't know is that the foundation board hired a fundraising expert, and the question was, how much money can this community round up to add to whatever the city government is willing to contribute? And the expert's input was $700,000 max. That's all you can manage to round up in a community this size. Mike said, I think we can do better than that, and he became the chair of that fundraising committee. By the time they were done with their efforts, they had raised $1.5 million, more than doubling the experts' statement of what could be done. But I think the story gets better because it was a close budget, and the city decided we can't afford a lower level in this library, so we just have the main level and go without the lower level. Mike couldn't live with that, and he went to the city council and said, okay, look, if I can round up another $200,000, can we finish the lower level? This is after he has tipped everybody upside down in the community. The city said, you can do that, we've got a lower level. He raised the $200,000, so by the time all the dust had settled, $1.7 million had been raised, and we got that library. You can never make this statement and be sure it's true, but I don't think we'd have that library. We might have a different kind of facility without Mike's volunteer effort. What he brought to that project was the exact same skills he brought to his successful football coaching. All of this and more is why we're honoring Mike here tonight. There are going to be 6 speakers who will now present, and I'm not going to be introducing each one, so for the speakers, just follow the program and come on up and speak in the order that you're listed on the program. The first speaker will be the current athletic director for the UW River Falls, and that's Roger Turnus. Roger?
Thank you, Keith. Good evening. On behalf of Chancellor Dean Van Gallen, the university community, the athletic staff, and over 400 students participating in intercollegiate athletics, I would like to welcome each of you to River Falls. Tonight's event commemorates the life, achievement, and impact Coach Mike Farley had on the university, Falcon football, and the greater River Falls community. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Mike and his wife and the entire Farley family and welcome them home to River Falls. This event would not have been made possible without the time, dedication, and enthusiasm of the Mike Farley Tribute Committee. You can read the names of the committee in the program, but let's show our appreciation for the Farley Tribute team. Mike, you know you have reached prominent social status when a committee is named in your honor. Now, we had a number of people on the committee that wanted it named after them. And we finally finally had to settle on, we probably should name it after the person that we're actually recognizing. So Keith and Newt, Dan McGinty, sorry you didn't make the cut on naming that committee after you guys. At this time, I would like to introduce a special guest of UWRF Athletics. Tucker Melika is a football track student athlete at UWRF and is Vice President of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Tucker, would you stand so we can welcome him? Earlier today, many of you had an opportunity to tour our new AstroTurf field at the Raymer Complex. Demolition and base construction of Raymer Field began on August the 4th. AstroTurf installation began on September the 2nd and was completed late yesterday. Infrastructure work will continue as late into the fall as possible, with construction of the new Smith Stadium press box beginning on November the 17th, the Monday after our last football game. Construction of the new Falcon Center and the renovation of the current Hunt Knowles buildings, which many of you have had an opportunity to preview, will begin this spring, with building continuing through July of 17. We anticipate getting the keys to the new facility on August 1, 2017. Exciting time for UWRF and UWRF and Falcon Athletics. Mike and Ray, welcome back to River Falls and enjoy your stay in the great state of Wisconsin. Thank you.
I can tell already, those of you who really know Coach, and there's an awful lot of us in this room, I can tell by the look in his eye right now, this is not going to be one of his favorite nights. Coach never liked being around a whole big group of people, and for him to be the center of attention, it ain't going over real big right now, I'll tell you that. Now, one thing I can tell you, we've all heard this saying, you can judge a man by the people he surrounds himself with. And Coach Farley had the great opportunity to have some great coaches through the years. Though all of us in here that played, we understand what I'm talking about. There were a lot of them. We don't have a chance to highlight every one of them tonight, but we're going to try to highlight a few. All right? You ready to roll, Coach Bennett?
Hey, Fish! Wow! What time we get this damn thing going? God damn it! There's a bunch of cows in the sky with diarrhea. You're like a bird on a skillet. Alright, we're making a transition. Don't lose up. For those of you that played, and those of you who didn't, we had this modern day technology of time segments and we flipped the numbers. We had a horn. So that's what simulates this here. We will flip it. Those who can't see what the sign says will announce that. How's the volume in the back? Good or bad? Good. Okay, we're going to try to go without a mic. If it isn't working, let us know. We'll go with a mic. So the horn is sounded. Next scenario. Church, the Farley way. Church. Greasers in church with them. Amen. Hey, fire! Hey, listen to that sermon? Yeah, it was good. Hey, look at this new play I got the Thompson way.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, pretty good, Coach Thompson. God damn it, you're a good-looking player. You drink a lot of beer, don't you? Yeah, you're damn right. You go. I'll tell you what, you should come play here in Falls. We have a lot of bars here. You get a hell of a player here in Falls. I'm in. All right.
Recruiting the Farley way. Well, John, how did your visit go?
It went pretty good, Coach. I think you need to know I was already offered by North Dakota State, South Dakota State. I just kind of would like to know where I fit in.
Where you fit in? Well, North Dakota State is a good program, but I'm going to tell you, you won't play here for at least 3 or 4 years.
I was the #1 ranked linebacker in the state.
Yeah. I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to redshirt you. Then you might be a backup on offense or defense, and maybe play some kicking game. And then maybe as a junior or senior, you might break the starting lineup.
You gotta be kidding.
We're going to win with you or without you. You want to be a part of it or not?
I'm gonna stand right here.
All right. Planning practice.
Farley fish. Hey, Mike. How long does it take to get from the fence to the practice field?
What?
Yeah. How long does it take to get from the fence to the practice field? Underarm dealer.
I don't know. Why do you ask?
Because I want my linebackers to come out for a little ARQ work early.
Why don't you just tell them what time to be there?
No. You said it all starts at the fence. That's where we're starting. You need to know exactly what time that is.
Okay. What period do you want to do punt?
Well, we've been doing it period 5. Right? Want to go period 5? That's what, 350?
What?
It's 350, right? How long does it take the defense to run from the defensive practice field over to the offensive practice? I think it's about 32 or 33 seconds.
What difference?
Well, here's where it makes a difference. At 3:49 and 27 seconds to start heading over to the offensive practice. And that means that the ARQ drill that I'm doing before that has to start at 3:41:27. And that drill will end at 3:45 and 55 seconds.
Bitch, you gotta be shishing me. Oh. By the way, are you gonna be doing opposite sky coverage this week or what?
No. Sky and cloud outfit applies only to an option team, and we're not seeing an option team.
Okay,
Just follow us.
okay. Personnel discussions. Put together a travel list for this week. What do you think of that Anderson guy?
Oh, you mean that group of linebackers? It's like O'Grady, McMartin, and Bill Bergstrom?
Gosh, that group is
One of them's a capon, the other one's a buffoon, and the other one's an imposter. The only way this guy's any
Ted, what do you think?
I'm telling you. He's from north of Highway 8, he's traveling.
Pre-practice. Hey, O'Grady. You make any plays this week in practice?
Thought I did pretty good, but I don't know what Coach Fish thinks.
Don't worry about it. Good job. Here's a piece of candy for you. Good job. Hey, O'Grady. You know this is a favorite part of my day. I get out on this practice field, I get away from those FIAD meetings and all that curriculum stuff Davis is talking about. This is fabulous. I get released out here. Let's have a good practice. All right, practice.
Carl's and Greasy.
Practice starts. 3:29, not 3:30, 3:29. Hey, Flex, let's go. Hey, Greaser, quit your team partying over there. Let's get going. Start practice. Let's go.
Farley and Thompson.
Practice dynamics. Practice is going on. Here we go, punt team. Let's go. Let's go. No, run it again. Get back here. Right now. We need to shoulder converge. We got a deep hinge and double right. Get to your landmarks. Sprint to your landmarks. Shoulder converge. Round down and make the play. Get back here and do it again. Do it again. Do it right. Coach Thompson, coach him up.
Hey, hunt team! Just run your ass off down there and out the side.
Here we go.
Practice field, Farley and Fish. Farley's for Fish's first year. I'm Fish. Hey! There's 30 earphones now. I'm Coach Fish, it was pretty loud. Hey! What are you guys doing out here?
What?
Get over here. I need to talk to you guys. Now this would happen occasionally with Coach Fish. In a classroom or on the practice field, this would happen occasionally. Get the guys over there. Not very happy. You're not very happy. You guys. You just gotta do a little bit of this and this and this. And a little bit of this and that. And so on and so on. Yada, yada, yada. And Coach Fish many times would just walk away. And I will never forget, I'm coaching with him now, I will never forget the guys were just standing there like we're sitting in the classroom, and I remember Phil English and Mike McMartin in particular, just like, what the hell just Joe! They'd say, what did he just say? What does he want us to do? Mary. He wants you to pursue the football and bar tackle the guy when you get there, get the ball out. That's all. McMartin and Phil English in particular, who was always the inquisitive one, looked at me and said, how the hell do you know that's what he meant? I said, well, little do you guys know, I grew up in Rogers Park, a Jewish neighborhood in Chicago. Had a lot of buddies, and I just understand the lingo.
Practice dynamics again.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, 17-5-10, let's run it right now. Leesman, read the D tackle, let's go. No, get back here, run again. What are you doing, Leesman? You better take an ass chewing like a man. You gotta take an ass butt chewing like a man. Run it again. Ow!
I think I hurt myself.
Move it up 10 yards. Stop it! Major injury. All right then, move it up 20. Stop me! Strength training.
Mission Farley.
This is.
Yep. Or Mark.
Here we go. Pulse run, get it going. Get the horns going, carts.
We ought to be doing something. We should be doing some exercise. What do you think? You pick it up, kick your ass.
Hey. All right, kid. Push-ups. You ready?
I'm ready. How about these? Farley and the team at the end of practice. I'm one of the players. Congregating around a bunch of the other players.
All right, gather it up.
Hey, did you hear? Did you see the paper? I think we're ranked like 7th now.
What? Are you kidding me? Ranked 7th? I don't give a crap about the rankings in the paper. Ranked 7th? You know what we are? You know what we're ranked? Number nothing. Just trying to get better. This is a dream come true to hear this guy say that. Oh, okay. All right. After a tough loss on Monday. Hey, you're damn right that St. Ambrose game loss hurts. It hurts me too. What are you going to do? I'm going to ask you this. What are you going to do now? Quit? You're going to quit? Let me ask you this. You're going to quit when you get fired, you go home, you get bit by the dog, you trip on your kid's toy, you go into the kitchen, and on the the kitchens and tables saying your wife left your ass. What are you gonna do? Quick! I'll tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna move on. You're gonna learn from it, and you're gonna go to the next play, the next practice, the next day, the next game. That's what you're gonna do, and that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna go beat Lacrosse's ass. Yeah!
Farley and Thompson.
In a car. X's and O's, an X and O conversation. Farley and Teddy. Coach Farley, Teddy. Hey, Teddy. What do you think of that new play I learned from Galen Hall this morning? 27, 5, 10. We're going read the 5 technique, block the 9 technique. Great play, quarterback. Doesn't have to get had to hit after a read. I think it'll be a great play. That was beat Lacrosse this week. What do you think?
Look at that great looking gal there. I remember that play 10 years ago at Ashland. Maybe it was Wisconsin Rapids. No, I think it was back at Ashland. But it ain't worth the damn. It ain't worth it. 27, 5, 10. I'm embarrassed to have my name involved.
All right, get in. I'll meet you later after dinner. Dinner has happened. Come back to the office. Teddy's in the office chalking after our conversation. I come back in. Coach Friday, I come back in. Coach comes in. Teddy, where you guys going? What are you doing?
Hey, look at this. This is a hell of a play.
What are you drawing there? What are you drawing, Teddy? Hey, all that is 27, 5, 10. That's what I told you we were going to run.
Yeah, it's a good looking play. On the phones?
On the headphones.
Game day. Farley with cards.
St. Angelo State. Can we hit the post?
Johnny Hope.
Hey, Cards. What do we got up there? We haven't got a first down yet. Can we hit the post to Hoke? Can we hit the post to Hoke?
That corner can sit down, smoke an entire cigarette, break both legs, arms and neck, and still could backpedal well enough to cover Hope.
All right, this needs a little lead up. I was fortunate enough to play and then coach with Coach Farley, Coach Thompson, and all that. When I got here, there was a defense that when I got here, it was called chicken. I don't know why it was called chicken. It was a tight eagle, but we called it chicken, and we would never really know how that got put in the verbiage. But here's a thought. We're at a game, on the phones.
Teddy's in the box.
Teddy's in the box. Teddy, what do you got out there? What are they playing?
Some of these press boxes, even in our league, serve food. Including chicken.
Teddy,
That's me.
Teddy, what are they playing? Chris, what do we got up there? What do we got?
Hey, Randy, give me some chicken.
What?
Oh, boy, is that good chicken.
It looks like Tight Eagle. They playing Tight Eagle?
It's good chicken.
All right, they're playing chicken. Hell, let's go.
You got Harold and Coach Farley.
Competing and challenges.
Harold Tiffany, who has never spoken to the public. Farley, did you see Zola Bud last night at the Olympics running with bare feet?
What? Barefoot in the Olympics? Competing? You think that's competing? Did the other cross-country runners run by her and give her a forearm shiver? That's competing!
Coach, did you hear Coach Byron James shot and killed a bear last weekend? Isn't that a challenge?
Challenge? That's not a challenge. You want a challenge? Give the bear a rifle. That's a challenge.
Hey, Coach Farley. Yeah, Harold. Did you see the size of that lacrosse eagle band?
Yeah? So what? They won the competition in the conference? That's not competition. Competition? Band competition? I'll show you guys your competition. Get the Whitewater band out there when they're doing it and hit their ass when they're marching. Now that's competition.
We're getting close.
Assertive driving. Assertive.
We're in the car driving to a clinic. Coach Farley driving, Coach Thompson says,
Little backdrop. Coach Farley was an assertive driver. Teddy was not. And they used to have conversations about it quite often, from what I understand. Legendary stories, and you're going to hear one. Hey, Farles, you better slow your ass down. You're going to get picked up one of these things. You should get picked up. You speak good.
I can't stand driving with a guy who won't go over 48.
You're going to get your ass picked up someday. I'm going to laugh my ass off. Hey, you get your ass pulled over. Pulled over.
Cop comes up, state trooper, comes up and says, you know how fast you were going, sir? Well, the speed limit on the interstate is 55. I think I was going about 54.
Oh shit, he was going 85.
That one is true.
Formula for success. The formula for success. When I go out there and consult and meeting with other coaches and you see the alumni, every time I go somewhere, they whip out the 1984 playbook and go, hey, it's the Bible. That's right. There's some good stuff in here. It's the formula for success. Some of you didn't play here for Coach. What he had was really special. How he taught us how to win and be successful in games and in life. We've had some fun. We wanted to share some serious things with you. And in this playbook, we used to go on the HSI meeting and he'd go through all these things and tell us the key to success. Thought we'd share a couple before we ended.
Win games by preventing loss. Win games by preventing loss. Big deal. Special teams are important. The most important thing, then defense, and then offense. Offense, don't turn the ball over. Don't get penalties. Don't have mental errors. Don't have physical errors.
play at a time. Breakdowns and our eliminate list will occur. Your reaction to this occurrence will determine our success. What are you going to do? Don't lose faith, bang your head or sulk. We've never had, nor will we ever have, a perfect player, coach in this program. You are not the first player to make a mistake. Nobody can achieve perfection, but the challenge exists and the effort to reach it. Learn from what you can from your mistakes, but don't hang your head in despair. First, compete against your biggest opponent, yourself and your mentality. If you make a mistake on one play, so what? In 25 seconds, you'll get another chance. What happened in history has nothing to do with your potential for success on the ensuing play. One play at a time. Coach, thanks for the best life lessons we ever learned. We love you, Coach.
Thank you.
Might sound familiar, but it might be very important to remind you. When you go home today and walk across the bridge over the Kinney River and you want to dip your helmet in that cool, beautiful water, just remember that the cows are up the river, put your own fluids in it, and it ain't Kool-Aid.
No way you can top that. You can't hear me?
No. We hold. Cupcake.
Can you hear me now? 95% of that is the truth, as every player in here knows. I had a big long speech, but after these guys, I've got written down here near the end. Team comes first. Beat yourself. One play at a time. They talk all about that. What I'm amazed at, no, that's wrong. I'm using the wrong word. What I'm overjoyed about is the positive impact that Falcon football has had on so many people during the Farley era. I don't think that'll ever be accomplished or ever be repeated again. And it's not about winning, it's about life. You know you did a good job. You know you did a good job coaching when your players come back to thank you 25 years down the road. That's where we are right now. And that's not even counting the young men who played here in the early 70s, you know, then you're back 30, 40, 50, 45 years, something like that. And it's great to hear the guys say what a positive effect Farley had on their lives. I tell you, it wasn't always positive. You guys are out in the locker room today. But after a while, everybody got on the same page and people started believing. I was going to say something about Fishbane, but there's no way I can beat one that's the incredible. But I will say this because there's a couple people here that have been critical to the whole program. Of course, you all know some, but most of you don't know Harold because he never did. He never does speak in front of anyone. But I think it was 1977, 1978, and Fishbane was leaving. And I said to Farley, I said, you know, what the hell are we going to do? He's a hell of a coach. He seems to figure out what play defense to run against the team and what play they're going to run. And I'll never forget this. Farley says to me, he says, you want one Fishbane or do you want 5 or 6 Gene Myers or Gerard Gonzalez? I mean, if you're a coach, I'll guarantee you I want. What I'm trying to say to you is 95% of the people would not be in this room if it wasn't for Harold. I got to tell you a story that probably most of you have not heard. It was either spring of 75 or
74, 76, I don't know. I said something to Farley the other day, and he said he couldn't remember. We go down to Oklahoma, spring practice, because at the time they were the experts running the wishbone. Anyone who ever watched film with Farley knows you see the same play 28 times. See? Over and over. While we're there, we watch film, attend coaches' meetings, eat at the training table, watch more film, go to practice, eat again, more meetings, more film. This goes on for 3 days. By the third day, I had all I could take. From the practice field that afternoon, I see a sign that says pizza and Coors Light. Now this is the truth now, I'm not making this up. I told Farley that I'm going over there and eat some pizza and drink some beer. About a half hour later, Farley walks in and I'm drinking a Coors. He said to me, he says, I heard that was good. So I got an empty glass and gave him some. He took a swallow or two and said, that isn't bad. I said, I'll tell you what, we'll take a 12-pack home when we go back to Wisconsin, and after each game, you and I will go to your office and have a beer. Well, I did it after every home game. At the end of the season, I'd go into his office and he'd say, no, dude, I don't have time. He says, I gotta get ready for the next game. At the end of the season, he gave me all his cans of beer back, and we never did have it. But I can say this, I think I'm probably the only person in this room who's ever had a beer with Farley. I was going to say some more, but these guys, they took all my thunder. I didn't know they were going to do that. And Mike, I just say thank you for the memories. And good luck.
Okay, I'll be quick. We had the privilege today at our practice. Coach Farley came out. I know some of you guys were there. It was twofold exciting today. Having Coach Farley obviously there. It was our first day on the turf. We have not been on the new turf until today. It was a perfect day to have Coach Farley there. If you were there, what a special time to see him lead us out there today. It couldn't have been more fitting. We had the privilege of him coming in the locker room to talk to the team before practice today. And I'll say now what I told him when he was in there. It's been an exciting week for us to get to educate our guys about Coach Farley and the history of this program. I know some of you guys have heard me talk before, and I'm passionate about the history of this place and this football program, how it means so much to so many people. And I told our guys at the beginning of the week when I was trying to explain who Coach Farley was. We had just got back from a trip from South Dakota. When we were out there, we were able to go to Mount Rushmore and had a great trip and won the game this past weekend. And I said, well, guys, I think the easiest way to explain this is if there's a Mount Rushmore for Falcon football, he's the George Washington head. I think they all kind of understood it from there. And I know our guys were honored to have him there today. And on behalf of myself, the rest of the coaches, all the current players, the former players, the extended Falcon football family, and all the lives that he's touched in Falcon football. One presenting today with our newest kinds of jersey with Farley on the back. I'll show it to you. Coach, thanks so much for being with the team today, and I just want to thank you for everything you've done for everybody involved with Falcon football.
Well, I've been warned by a whole bunch of people that this thing shouldn't go on much longer. The guy that frankly wants to be here probably the shortest amount of time is the guy we're here to honor. So I'll try to be brief, but that is not my strong suit. Thank you, Diane. Frankly, this event came about believe it or not, we stole something from the Platteville playbook. My father sent me an invite for a great friend of his, George Christ, who was a coach in our league and an adversary and competitor to my father, and they had a sort of a memorial tribute to him down there, and it was a fantastic night for those that attended. And it became pretty clear as I drove back from Platteville, because I went there in his stead, and of course I alienated everybody there at Platteville because they saw Mike Farley was coming. And then they found Mike Farley Jr., it's like, oh, man. But nonetheless, we wanted to put this on, and we knew that there was an opportunity that my mom and dad were going to be in town this week, and so I really have to extend an incredible thank you, firstly to Dan McGinty, who was the first guy that I contacted about this. My brothers and I thought that it would be a good idea, and basically they put the committee together and put this night together in short order. I understand these things normally are months and years in the making, and this was probably late June or the start of July, and here we are today, and with this kind of turnout. So hats off to them. I'd like to recognize on behalf of the Farley family, we've got a number of Farleys here. My oldest brother Steve, who is in Indianapolis, is the head baseball coach at Butler. Here, his wife Lisa and two daughters, Hannah and Sarah, certainly been a big influence on my life and our lives here. My brother Dave, who's a doctor down at Mayo Clinic in Rochester with his wife Kathy. He's got 3 children, Thomas and Ben and Samantha. Certainly, I brought my family as well. Quite frankly, I think most of you probably know my wife better than you know me. Annie was a trainer here at New River Falls, and so I met my wife there. But try this one out quickly. When you don't know that you're actually going to become the daughter-in-law of the coach of the football team, and the football coach has you as a trainer, you saw the horns and the flipping of signs. There were large numbers that went with that. And as I recall, my wife, and maybe even Miss LaRue, who was here, may have had a hand in flipping those numbers. Sometimes they didn't get them flipped as fast as Coach Farley would like. So you can only imagine that the daughter-in-law who's called certain special somethings prior to being the daughter-in-law. So she knows a little bit too much about him, and he knows a little bit too much about her. But it's been a great 27 years that we've been married. I've got 2 children here today with my daughter Peyton and my oldest son Jack. My son Spencer, who's National Guardsman, had to leave us and going up to Camp Brinkley to fire stuff out of tanks. So you're all safe. And I've got one more son, Harrison, who's up in Northern Michigan University. So we came out here to support my mother and father. Certainly met my mom, who has been, frankly, the rock of our family. She never changes. She looks the same, and that's pretty cool for a mom. And she has kept this guy, who for most of us, we were quaking in our shoes when he went by. And today, here is a much older gentleman, but the respect that you have served him here tonight and showing up, and some of you from very long trips, I know is near and dear to him and to my parents. So I thank you very, very much for that. I want to say just a couple of quick things. I have a unique perspective here. Apparently, I'm the only guy in the room who was a ball boy, who was a statistician, who was a camper, who was a counselor, who was a recruit, who was a player, and who was a coach, and happened to be a son for Coach Farley. Understand, my 2 older brothers are exceptional athletes and got scholarships to Big Ten schools. When I was a high school kid, that's all I could think about. I wanted to be a scholarship athlete. But when you're 6 foot tall and 150 pounds, maybe, you don't exactly get a whole bunch of looks from D1 programs. And quite frankly, I was anti-recruited by my own father not to go to River Falls. Some of you may have been anti-recruited. Hey, don't come to River Falls if you want to just push. You want to hit somebody? Let's hit somebody, right? So just as Jim and Coach O had said, there are certain ways that Coach Farley had of attracting you to the very thing that apparently must have been something that repelled you. I remember thinking that River Falls to me was such a wonderful place to grow up. My playground, my nursery school is out on the football fields, running over tackling dummies and doing all sorts of goofy stuff. But I never actually had been coached by my own dad. And so I remember thinking, well, maybe this will be a really good thing. Maybe it's really going to be a terrible, terrible thing. And if it's terrible, I'll transfer. If it's good, then I'll stick around. And so you wonder sometimes, maybe some of you have tried to coach your own child in Little League or Pop Warner football or something like that, and it's no easy task. And I was no easy son. But I'll tell you this much, on basically day one, when you come into two-a-days, not long after, there is a depth chart that is put up on the wall outside of the locker room. You kind of wonder where you stood. And when I came in as a freshman quarterback, the second team all-conference quarterback was Jimmy Abs. So that position was pretty well locked up. The guy behind him was this good-looking guy who was a transfer from Colorado named Bobby DeLeo. So the second team, and I'm a freshman, and there's all-state guys with all-state star jerseys and all that stuff, and I'm not all-state. And when I look at that depth chart, I look at that thing, and I keep looking down my name, and keep looking at, I'm 7th team quarterback. 7th team, there is no 7th team. So that's how this is going to be. And quite frankly, in its own brilliance, whether it was by design or it could have simply been a slip of the pen. But everybody on that team, there's 100 guys on that team who could have said, oh, great, the coach's kid. Oh, he's third team or second team, he's the coach's kid. Nope. Everybody on that team said, thank God I'm not the coach's kid. And in that, I learned a very valuable lesson. One of the things that all of us had learned was that you had to earn it. One of the great things about competing, one of the great things about Falcon football, one of the great things about my father was prior to race relations, prior to gender equality, prior to any of that stuff. Basically, his attitude was, whoever the best guy was, that's the guy who's going to be in there. Period. And for 4 years, I platooned as a quarterback because I could never be the starting quarterback. And you know what? I didn't deserve to be the starting quarterback. But our team was better for it. How many of us had to fight and earn? How many of us never got that starting role? How many of us were superstars on the meat squad, on that scout team? And I'm telling you right now, there were some guys. We got a guy right now. Is J-Mo here? I didn't see him. Lance Jameson was a guy that played on the scout team for about 162 years and was the best guy against the wishbone defense that there has ever been. He gave more trouble to more quarterbacks because he figured that offense out pretty fast, and he wanted to be part of this program, and he stayed with it the whole time. It was incredibly valuable, and that's something that I'm sure that he would say to Coach Farley is a highlight of his life. When the others had said that there are all these teachable moments, yeah, I'm getting a wrap-up signal, so I'm going to try to move. Teachable moments is what he was all about, what he is all about, and we've all been part of that. I'm going to try as best that I can. For years and years, he'd say that repetition is the mother of learning, is it not? And so if you repeat something over and over again, watch that film over and over again, practice that play over and over again, eventually you get pretty darn good at it. He would practice a poem. Oh, great. He came to a football thing, and now you're getting a poetry recital. McNamara is about the only guy who can appreciate that. So I'm going to give you a little poem that he would use at these conferences and coaching conventions and whatnot that he used to say to all these coaches, I think, as a way to a guy like Coach Walker to say, this is how you help build that program. But as I recite this poem, hopefully you recognize that this poem could have been written for him. And it goes something like this. It says, an old man going a lone highway came in the evening cold and gray to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim. That sullen stream held no fear for him, but he paused when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. "Old man," said a fellow pilgrim passing near, "you're wasting strength in building here. Your journey ends at the ending day. Never again must you pass this way. You've crossed this chasm deep and wide. Why build you this bridge at the evening tide?" The builder lifted his old gray head. "Good friend, on the path that I've come," he said, "there followeth after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm which is not to me, to that fair-haired youth, may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building this bridge for him." The one thing that unites us all here in this room is that each and every one of us has walked across the bridge that Coach Farley built. And that's a pretty sturdy and strong and long-standing bridge. I'd like you to welcome to the stage the greatest coach, the greatest mentor, and the greatest man I've ever known, my father, Coach Mike Farley.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for showing up and supporting UW River Falls and the Falcons and Mike Farley. And I had notes here, but this thing is going so long. I'm not one for just keeping it going. There is couple stories I want to tell. And one is 1971. We're playing Whitewater. It's cold. It's got 33 below chill factor. The wind is blowing from west to east. Yeah, that's right. Whitewater on their side of the field are all turned with their backs to the River Falls stand because of the wind. We're all standing there. The guys are parking. They're watching the game like this. It's cold. It's cold. Score is 9-7. Whitewater is ahead. Coming down to the last. John Page is our quarterback. John is here tonight. Daryl Herrick is our wide receiver. The wind is blowing. It's mean. Call the play. It's a long pass from Page to Herrick. I almost feel like the good Lord had a hand in this one. Page throws the ball. He throws it right at the goal post. Herrick is over as a wide receiver, and the wind blows the ball over to the right. Herrick catches it. It's 14-9, and River Falls win. The biggest game that I've had in a long time, the first 3 or 4 years of our coaching here, and made a lot of players have much more confidence. That was a great ball game for Herrick and for Page and for others. I got a whole bunch of stuff here that I'm not going to use because I'm down to the end. And maybe this story you'll like the best because it's the briefest. We go down to the person that told me this story is in the room, and my good friend down at Platteville is Coach George Christ, who was athletic director. He's now deceased. But the Falcon basketball team, or whatever kind of team it was, goes down there, and Coach Christ, who's a good friend of mine, says to LaRue, I can't think of your first name. Mary LaRue. Mary LaRue. Coach Chris says to Mary LaRue, how's Coach Farley doing up there in River Falls? And Mary LaRue says, and this was, I'm going to end the program with, Mary LaRue says, Coach Farley? Coach Farley is history. Thanks for being here.